Hey, what's up, everyone? You're currently tuned into TBD and KCSB FM 91.9 in Santa Barbara and NetNet Radio. Actually, not NetNet Radio anymore, but KCSB FM 91.9 in Santa Barbara. Today, Lietoc and I are joined by Ray, aka Ari Seraphin. The Bay Area musician's been honing in on a style of jangly psychedelia, releasing albums and EPs across Paisley Shirt, Mt.St.Mtn, Tearjerk Records, Dandy Boy, and Safe Suburban Home Records. And their latest Fool's Mate is out now on Take a Turn here domestically. How's it going, Ray?
Going great. Let's see. It's a hot one out here, so just trying to keep cool right now.
What are you working with? What's the temperature like out there right now?
It's actually not that hot, but it's hot to us Bay Area people. I think it peaked at 78, 79.
Wow, though. Okay.
Hey, but you're on the beach. You're on the beach keeping cool though. Like you're handling it, right?
Yeah, I'm metaphorically on the beach. I was literally on a beach yesterday, though, which was nice. Yeah, pleasure to be here.
Sick, man. So,
was that a beach in the area, or was that a beach that was coming back from tour?
Oh, it was a beach in the area in a town called San Rafael. It's called China Camp. So I guess basically it's a defunded state park.
Okay.
I don't know the details exactly, but I guess at some point in the 90s or early 2000s, the state of California pulled the funding for all of these state parks, including China Camp. But it's like volunteer and donation run. I guess it's kind of where like a lot of indigenous people and also later Chinese Americans lived, and they set up there, and they fished for shrimp.
Oh, interesting.
In the late 1800s.
So what brought you down to China Camp?
I was just looking to explore a new area.
That's sick. And was it tight?
It was tight. Yeah. There are remnants of the old village, and there's like a little fish fry shack there. It wasn't open, but it looks tight.
That's a bummer.
Yeah.
Well, we hosted you. Excuse me. You played one of like the earliest like TBD like interview things back then, and then shortly after, like a year and a half or so, you played the barbershop with Tony J, I believe, right? Was that with Tony J that tour?
Yes, it was with Tony J.
Yeah, that was a fun show. But since then, it's been a couple years, dude. Like, I don't know. What have you been up to since? I guess non-music wise, like, you have anything that keeps you busy?
Well, I've already mentioned it, but I had a kid at the end of 2022.
Congrats.
Yes. Her name is Clementine. She's great.
That's so cute.
But basically, that's where the majority of my time and focus goes at the moment. However, I'm finally at the stage where I'm not afraid that I'm going to kill her at any given moment. So,
hell yeah, dude. Sick.
That feels good.
Yeah, that's awesome.
She's 18 months now.
Has she, I don't know, said her first word yet or anything like that?
She says quite a few words.
That's sick.
Yeah, the latest additions to her vocabulary are purple.
Nice.
And onion.
Oh, love to hear that. That's one of my favorite words too.
I love purple onions as well.
Purple, I'm like, but you're talking about red onions, so it's going. Oh no.
There's a cool venue in the Bay Area, I think, called the Purple Onion.
Oh, that's sick.
That's her dream.
She's dropping hints, dude. She's like, Dad, take me to the Purple Onion.
You didn't accidentally poison her. You didn't have to call poison patrol or control in over 18 months. Now she wants to go to the Purple Onion.
Yeah, I gotta reopen it now.
Oh, it's closed down?
Yeah, it closed a while ago. It was like a fairly well-known beat era bar, but
okay.
I think later on in the 80s and 90s when there was that kind of garage mod revival.
Oh, that's pretty sick.
Situation in the Bay Area, they hosted a lot of shows like that.
Nice. So does Clementine like your music? Do you play it for her?
She liked certain songs. She was basically forced against her will to listen to the album. There are a few songs where she claps at the end.
Oh, sick.
So I take it that she enjoys them.
Nice.
But time will tell. I'm sure in 10 years she'll be greatly embarrassed.
She'll either be incredibly embarrassed or writing a little liner note for 5th grade class.
Oh, that'd be sick. Actually, yeah. She'll be.
I was clapping during this, and I still think 10 years later we should be clapping.
Yeah, I still think 10 years later that my dad is a DIY rock star legend. I don't know.
I don't know. I guess just on that note, because when I was really young, it's like my dad played a lot of stuff for me, and there still exist these little cassettes in our house of Maddie's favorite cuts, age 3 or something, and it's just like all the Ringo Starr Beatles cuts and Blind Boys of Alabama, like the most
that's sick,
insane little like batch of things, and I'm like, I don't agree with this. But also I'm so thrilled to know that like at the age of 3 I was hearing this and like thrilled on it.
Ray, what was your, I don't know. Oh, go ahead. What were you going to say?
Oh, I was just going to say children love music, like Clementine sings songs that she doesn't even know the words to. So she like sings Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star all the time, but doesn't know any of the words.
So really? That's funny, dude. That
sings the melody.
Yeah.
But it's pretty cool to witness.
What were, I don't know, some of the songs that you listen to or that you can remember, like you absolutely jamming to from your earliest memories?
I don't know. I have kind of hip parents. My mom was a DJ at Calix in Berkeley for a long time.
Dude, that's so sick.
Okay.
So I sort of grew up in that environment. She mostly played metal and hard rock.
Oh, so, hell yeah.
A few examples of things that I was exposed to early on are like Deep Purple, Iron Maiden, Black Sabbath, the usual, and then some more esoteric stuff like ambient black metal.
Oh, dude, that's badass.
And then my other mom was more, she was kind of a goth in the 80s. So she exposed me to The Cure, Bauhaus, New Order.
Yeah.
Band. So I definitely was exposed and in some ways inundated with or by music as a kid. But I feel like at the time I was like, I don't like music because my parents love music.
Yeah.
So I can't recall having like a particular response to anything. However, I will say that at this point in time, I don't listen to a lot of metal. So maybe that.
No, I was going to ask, like, you're saying ambient metal. So was your mom playing Earth, or did you ever hear Saint Vitus and like that?
For sure. Those bands, definitely.
Dude, that's so sick. Just growing up listening to Earth, like some of like your earliest music, like you're just like, Mom, turn that off. Like, I don't know.
No.
That's sick.
It was sick. I mean, I wish I had appreciated it more at the time, but it's definitely cool having been exposed to that at an early age. Embarrassingly, I would say that like the first music that really got me going was seeing the White Stripes, a few of their videos on MTV or VH1, like fell in love with a girl
That's a big cut for me at the age of like 4 or 5. All of that stuff I was right at an age where I also had hip parents, but they were not DJs in the case of they were 80s college radio alum, let's say.
Right.
But then they had kids in the 90s and they stopped following 120 minutes or really out there stuff as much as kind of what had been corralled in and had become alt or alternative. That was what dominated the 90s for them. But that turn of the century with garage rock stuff, that really hit it off. And like when you're 4 years old and you don't know the history of music, the White Stripes kick ass.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. I think I was admittedly a little bit older than I think I was 10.
Oh yeah.
11,
and still I love listening to some of that stuff. I have the Michel Gondry videos, so I've revisited some of those and they're still just as magical.
I believe it. They're kind of an example of great children's music, at least their early material,
Mm-hmm.
Jack White got to Johnny Depped out.
Yeah.
I will say I really love the first album he did in 2022. I have not liked a lot of his music.
Which one was that?
That was Fear of the Dawn. I wrote a giant essay about that one because I really looked at it as like, oh, he has nothing to lose, and this sounds like music you make in a panic binge. And I really appreciated just how broken it was. Songs did not seem to connect or be there. There was a terrible Q-tip feature.
That is sick.
But as a result, it just rocked.
Yeah.
And I really appreciate the sincerity that he has as just a mogul, I guess, of being like, well, I couldn't push my album up in the vinyl pressing thing. So then he made that a big focus of his tour, all the goofy stuff. But I don't know if I would ever want to give that to a kid like the White Stripes.
It's not the same.
It still is very Johnny Depped.
I haven't listened to that one, but I'm intrigued now. I do appreciate that he seems to swing for the fences in all cases.
Do you guys ever listen to, I forget which record it was, but I remember it was when I was first getting into records in high school in 2014 or something like that. And he had one that you could play a track backwards or something like that. I don't know. Do you remember this, Maddie? And I remember it was a huge deal. Everybody was talking about it.
Is it Boarding House Reach? Because I didn't
forget,
care
dude.
at the
time. But I remember. Yeah, it was I don't know, maybe it's Dead Weather or something like that. He was doing all kinds of weird stuff. And I remember I got into it for a bit. And I was like, oh, dude, it's the White Stripes guy. But then I guess it never stuck. I never thought he was that good after the White Stripes. Just messed up to say, sorry.
Sure. I forget all of those side projects.
Yeah.
I forgot about all those side projects. I remember liking the Raconteurs.
Yep.
Oh,
The
yes.
Raconteurs.
That's who it is. Yeah. Dude, honestly,
Hang Me Up to Drive still rips. That's a great number 1 Billboard modern rock cut.
Sure. I love Brendan Benson, the other singer on those records.
Have you guys seen those tweets talking about coworker music? They say coworker music and they list a bunch of bands. That's yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's premiere, but I'd love to talk. I would listen to those albums if I had coworkers that loved them.
Yeah.
I really would, just to be hey guys, rock is back.
Yeah.
Because I don't know. I've run into at least library patrons that have the coworkers music kind of instilled in them, but it's really great. It's I'm not here to fight about the merits of if this is cool or not. Can we just talk if this is good?
Yeah, I feel that.
And if we had a fun time with it,
Ray,
that's me.
Ray, what's the gist of the coworker music category?
Maddie,
is it music that is not that good, or
it's more that music that you're not going to have to dig for
to explain to others?
Yeah, to explain. So again, it's it's going to be your Raconteurs. It's hey, that's one of my favorite major rock artists. Or you probably just hey, I really like Greta Van Fleet. And it's
yeah,
okay. maybe it is Imagine Dragons, which occasionally do something really interesting, but are always. I've been obsessed with this Imagine Dragons clip for the past 24 hours. I'm trying to think, like Group Love seems like another good one.
Or like Broken Bells, like that Danger Mouse, like Shins. Yeah, like that type stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Stuff that like you see someone, you know, at like a public space and you're like, that person looks like kind of hip. You know what I mean? And then you talk to them and then they're just like, yeah, my favorite band is Broken Bells. And you're like, oh, sick. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah.
See, I don't even know who that band is. Thankfully, I work in a place where we can select our own music. I don't work at like a, you know, big box department store.
Yeah.
Where you're just forced to listen to probably whatever that band is.
Yeah.
But I can't think of what I play. I feel like I just kind of throw on whatever playlist that I want to. And sometimes my coworkers will keep it on for a while and then other times they'll change it. But it's okay. It's a democracy, you know?
Oh, I remember when I worked at like this pizza shop in IV called Woodstocks and I was delivering pizzas. Like I remember it'd be slow or something. And so I'd just be like in the kitchen, like doing whatever they were having me doing. And like, you know, I would get aux for whatever reason. They would let me get aux. And I don't know, just be jamming something. And they would always like be like, who's jamming this? And then unplug my phone and then plug it back in. And I'm just like, yeah, they don't like my taste. But I do remember one time I was playing sustains, actually. I was bumping sustains and someone walked up to me and was like, who is this? This is sick, as they're unplugging it. And that's the only compliment I got. Who is this? This is sick.
That's awesome. Yeah, I haven't been subjected to anything quite that cruel, but yeah, you know, music in the workplace, it's better not to make waves.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah.
I worked with a jam band guy for a long time. And that was brutal because, you know, Grateful Dead are one thing and I can sort of get into it, but when you're talking about like obscure Blues Traveler live,
oh God,
bootlegs, I gotta tap out, you know?
Yeah.
It's funny because it's like for me, I could never. Well, that's not true because I was listening to $75 Bill today, and I love $75 Bill because they have that jam character on top of their kind of polyglot rock stuff. But I've got gigabytes of Radiohead live on my computer, and that's where then I'll geek out. It's like I can activate a part of my brain that I've left behind where I'm like, yeah, they only played the song 5 times. This is the cleanest cut of it. Isn't it so great to hear? And it doesn't matter.
I love that. Everybody's got to have that, though. You know what I mean?
It's always so fun. To like geek out for like a second and be like, I'm backing up now. No.
Yeah. You just start like, someone mentions that they like Animal Collective and you start just like info dumping on them and you could tell it. They're just like, and you're like, okay, yeah, my bad. That was my cue to like stop talking.
That's a really great example though of like that's a jam band right now.
Animal Collective, dude. Speaking of jam bands, there's this big festival in Ventura that I actually just found out about, but apparently it's been a thing for like 5 years. But I just found out because it's in the news. But like this festival, whatever it's called, they had to like cancel. It's next week or whatever, and they just canceled the festival, like no refunds or whatever. And yeah, they had like all these like huge like jam bands, like reggae bands, whatever these people are into. And there's a bunch of like funny like conspiracy theories going around. Like, what if they just didn't make enough money and it's like a fire festival situation? And like, yeah, I don't know. It's funny. Anyways, for those listening, that's your local music news segment. But anyways, what should we jump into next, Maddie? Oh, Ray, I guess we could talk about like your little SoCal run that you just did. How was that?
That was great. I mean, in my mind, I've been sort of out of the game for a while, so felt good to
get back on the road.
get back on the road.
Yeah.
Just play somewhere that's not the Bay Area.
Mhm.
That's firm and fair.
I do love playing locally, but there's always this element of feeling self-conscious
Mhm.
at those shows as opposed to on the road where
Oh, really?
I know fewer people, you know?
Why do you feel self-conscious? Just because like they're all your homies and you're like, oh, they're probably judging me right now, like type deal or something, or
Sort of. Yeah, that's part of it. And then like if you're playing to, you know, not very many people and they're all your homies, then and they're all just like staring at you and showing no emotion, you sort of like
Oh, yep. Okay.
get
I
in
could see
your
that
own
being a
head
little
little
awkward,
bit,
like a
but
little hit on the ego, a little bit. You know what I mean?
totally. Thankfully, we don't have that many shows like that. But it was great. We played at Permanent Records with Color Group and Paint.
Oh, nice.
Oh, you got to play. That's another great all-timer. I've got his first album, and Heaven and Farsi is like one of the best instrumentals ever. Oh my God.
Is that's Paint you're saying, Maddie?
Yeah, Paint.
They
Yeah.
ripped.
Paint is
The
sick.
one guy from Ollie lost his solo project. Aquarium Drunkard hyped the out of that in 2018, so I bought the CD, and that is still a phenomenal.
Wait, Paint is one of the guys from Alalas?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. I didn't realize that. I've been listening to his stuff, but I just never knew that little fact. That's sick.
He's the Pedram. He's the lead guitarist, I
Right.
believe. In Alalas.
Oh, interesting. That's sick.
There's like 2 or 3 all-timer cuts on that first Paint album.
Yeah.
Again, just a reminder that like great albums off the beaten path, they always have nuggets like that.
Mm-hmm.
Ready. The opening Daily Paper cut or Daily Planet, I forget what it's called, and then Heaven and Farsi. Just
Classics. And then
he might have a new one too.
Paint 3, that'd be the third. How exciting!
that's
yeah,
sick.
I think he was selling some copies.
Oh, really?
At the show of his latest. And Color Green were rad. They are definitely a bit jammy. I think they sort of interpolated some Meters riffs and some JJ Cale.
Oh, hell yeah.
So it was a different sort of vibe than our normal.
Did you head down at Permanent Record? Did you tiptoe into the vinyl and a CD showroom to take a little sneak around?
Definitely.
Did you did you get any finds or what?
I always go for the CDs there.
I didn't dig around too much. I did end up buying a few records while we were in LA, but not at Permanent Records. I bought the first Green on Red album.
Where'd you go shopping at? What records
This
were
is
you?
not the first Green on Red, if I'm correct, but I did have this ready to go to talk.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
What record store did we go to? I can't remember.
Was it Paradise?
I ended up selling a couple copies of Fool's Mate to them. And
Oh, sick.
them on Instagram. So
Oh, really? That's tight.
with their name, but it escapes me at the moment.
No worries.
Maybe it's called The Last Record Store.
That sounds like a record store in LA, to be honest. Let me just do a.
There's the Last Bookstore. I know that. I don't know if you stopped to the Last Bookstore, but that would be new if there's a new Last Record Store.
Yeah, I can't think of it. Record Surplus, maybe. Amoeba.
Out of a question here, though.
Next record store is in Santa Rosa. Maybe
Okay.
Have you sold again, 'cause that's just something that I never hear a ton about, but it does happen. You're a traveling musician doing this tour. You've got, these copies of your hot gold, solid gold album, Fool's Mate. And
totally.
Have you been able, though, to sell that to other record stores is that something that you've done with your music before?
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's sort of a, I don't know if it's a secret at all, but plenty of bands do that while they're on the road. It just sort of makes sense. If you have, a surplus of records, and it's kind of like free distro,
Mhm.
Yeah, for sure.
And I would say in general, if you're a musician or you're in a band and you are, going to a record store and you're trying to sell your record, then the people there are going to be more receptive than, if they just received kind of a spam email from
For sure. Mm-hmm.
a distro,
Mm-hmm.
Because they're seeing you, they're hearing you. They've got that album right in their hand, so they can look at the vinyl. They can
Totally. Maybe they would feel worse about turning me away. Like,
Yeah.
look at this poor sap. We better carry his record. Here's $20, kid.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, that was fun. What else did we do? I think we went to. I know we went to San Diego. Yeah, we played a small sort of art gallery, mutual aid.
Mm-hmm. I know that spot.
Live venue spot, the Brown Building.
Yeah, Brown Building on Poplar Street. It's very close by. I don't know. It's edge of San Diego, kind of in City Heights. It's nice. It's nice that someone's doing a space out there, though. Stuff like that has not existed before.
That was a make-believe DIY show you played, or?
That was.
It was.
Sick.
Audrey was the best.
Well, hell yeah.
I historically haven't had great luck playing shows in San Diego, but
a lot of people have said that.
When kind of Audrey started booking and, Can started playing more, they have a cool community down there.
They definitely have like a cool thing going for sure. Like Maddie and Audrey and Cameron are kind of just booking sick shows out there. And it's like, yeah, it just started within like the last like few months or a year or something like that like it's really been popping off down there. But they've actually been doing like sick stuff to where I'm like, damn, I wish I lived closer to San Diego for these, Yeah,
it's great. And very wholesome feeling, and I love playing non-bars whenever possible.
For sure.
So getting to play a space like that felt really special. We played with Can, Claire Walding, and George Children from LA.
Nice. I don't know the other two, but Can Rips. They're like, honestly, just like one of the best bands playing right now. Like not even just from San Diego, just like they're just like one of the best. They're so good.
I took philosophy with the drummer. We sat next to each other.
Kellen?
Yeah, Kellen. Yeah, Kellen's UCSB alum.
Yeah, I know.
I wanted to play with Phil Giraldi, and he had food poisoning. And he stuck it out like a champ. So we're big Can supporters here. Get him up, Thomas.
Kellen had a radio show on KCSB called Kel's Bells.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, goodness. I remember listening to it a few times actually. And then like when I met him at a Can or saw him at a Can show, I was like, dude, I totally listened to your show back then. Like, that's so sick. And then he'd always talk to me about Ted. And yeah, Kellen's funny. Anyways.
He's a goober.
Yeah. Well, that's cool, man. It sounds like you had a good time on your little SoCal run. Did you do anything cool in San Diego while you're out there? Like, I don't know.
Not too much. We hit a couple record shops. You know how it is. You don't have that much time.
Where'd you hit?
Folk Arts.
Oh,
nice.
Yeah, we always make a point of going to Folk Arts. A buddy of mine used to work there. And
nice.
A couple of my bandmates are way bigger record collectors than I am. So they're like, let's hit up the record store.
Yeah, no, I know. Because
whatever town we're in.
Yeah.
But Folk Arts is great.
Awesome.
Yeah.
It was funny enough now, a couple nights ago, because Folk Arts has a side record shop in a little Japanese listening bar.
Yeah, they were telling me about that.
Yep, the part-time. So finally, I go to Part-Time Lovers on a Monday night, and there can be lines out the door to get in there on weekends. It was not this time. It was great. I had an Orion, super hyped that they had that as their draft beer, but
God bless.
Allie was working there from KCSB. Another KCSB alum works at Folkarts, and she was there working the record shop. The main guy was there as well.
Oh, sick.
I actually bought a vinyl, and I never buy vinyl, but they had broadcasts work and non-work. So I got excited.
Classic, yeah.
I was like, oh, I'm never finding this on cassette. I got to get this now. And it was great. Sounds really lovely. I'm happy to have that.
Dope.
A rare.
Love that. I love when everyone gets what they want. The store sold a record. You got a record you love.
And it was well priced. And it was a surprise in the best of ways.
We love when a record store actually prices their stuff well too. Sometimes it'll be a little pricey out there, and it's kind of a bummer. But
a bummer.
Yeah, I feel you there.
Anyways, I guess we can go start talking a little bit more about the homie Ray sitting right here on the beach. But I don't know, Ray, tell us a little bit more about just your DIY intros, how you got into music. I know you talked a little bit about your parents and their music taste and stuff, but yeah, tell us a little more, dude. How'd you get into the thick of it, dude? I would consider you a lifer at this point. How did that happen?
What would pivot you out from having a metal mom and you were like, I don't like this, to you're making garage rock with the talkies? How's that happen?
I don't know. I feel in middle school, some of the worst years of my life, of course.
Yeah,
as they are for everyone.
Uh-huh.
I just sort of couldn't find a place to fit in, and I had a close friend who was playing drums in a cover band. They were doing Jimi Hendrix, Cream, classic rock.
Yeah.
And I hung around them for a while, and then I just decided to try to play bass at some point.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe one of them made sort of a backhanded comments about how I should probably learn how to do it instead of hanging out with them. But
yeah,
I think at first I didn't have a lot of interest in actually learning how to play. I had this short scale bass, and I had a Rat pedal and a Radio Shack amp.
Oh, hell yeah.
Radio Shack guitar amp. I think it was 20.
Oh my goodness.
I didn't even know Radio Shack would make guitar amps, but I guess that makes sense for a little practice amp or something, I guess. I don't know.
Totally. I think my sister's boyfriend at the time gave it to me. But
yeah.
Anyway, so I just made a bunch of noise.
Yeah, that's sick.
Probably for the first year or two.
Yeah.
And then I sort of fell in with a couple guys, and we started a band called The Impediments.
Mm-hmm.
And that was definitely more garage, punk, rock and roll.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely more so than my current music. Fairly obnoxious stuff. But ever since then, I've just kept going. I don't know. I don't reflect too much on it. I just sort of try to accept it as a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
This is something I enjoy. I know how to do it.
Yeah.
Other people seem to enjoy it at times. So,
sick.
Something I guess I want to ask is, so you've always been based out in the Bay Area this entire time?
More or less. I lived in Austin, Texas for a few years.
Cool.
And there was an iteration of talkies there too. We actually did record an album. It's called Kowtow, which I self-released. Yes, that's the right term. And shortly after that, my wife and I moved back to the Bay. And we had planned to relocate up north, in Arcata or Eureka, one of those places. And we sort of like checked out an apartment in Vallejo on a whim. And, the landlord didn't care that we didn't have jobs. So
That's
he
sick.
agreed to lease it to us.
Hell yeah.
When was that?
2018.
Wow.
Tight.
Wow. So you had been in Texas kind of for the middle of the 2010s.
Basically, about 2.5 years.
Because at least when I'm thinking broadly in the strokes that I know from articles and stuff is that there is this San Francisco scene that sort of exists between, let's say, 2008 to 2014, really 2008 to 2012, but it's one that's got OCs, Ty Segall, art museums, if I'm getting that correct. Oh goodness, the other Cohen that's not Chris Cohen, Tim Cohen, all his bands.
Oh yeah.
So I'm curious again, kind of reflecting, because that had always seemed like such a big time. Were you participating in that in any capacity? Did you have any reflections or stuff that even years on you still think about, like, oh, crazy show, or really just what was up at that time?
I don't know. I think
didn't like
at the time. Well, I'll start by saying that my bands played with a lot of those groups, and one of the Impediments' first ever shows was with Ty Segall.
that's insane, actually.
When he was in this band Epsilons.
That's wild, dude.
Yeah.
We played a basement in Oakland together, and I think there was sort of a sense of camaraderie because he's only a few years older than me.
Yeah.
But we were teenagers at the time, so like us teenage dudes gotta stick together.
Yeah, for sure.
Our paths sort of diverged. I feel like my bands were never fully in the thick of it, but we certainly did play out, and we played with some of those groups.
Well, I would say also as well, like Burger Records was huge at that time. Didn't you like put out a record with them or something? I know they're like canceled and stuff, but we won't go into that. Everybody knows that story, but like, I don't know, you're probably playing with a bunch of those dudes, right?
We did. I was in No Bunny for a while.
Oh, that's crazy, bro. Really?
Everyone in the Impediments was
that's insane. Yeah.
But we played with Lee and Sean's bands a few times. The Makeout Party.
Yeah.
Oh,
I don't know if they had a band after that, so I could be making up.
There's Makeout. I'm not thinking about Makeout
part of it.
Thinking of Makeout videotape.
Oh yeah, that was Mac DeMarco, right?
Yeah.
But the Impediments' first album was one of the earliest tapes on Burger Records.
Wow,
dude, that's crazy. Actually, I know that they're canceled, but that's still like a pocket of like history. You know what I mean? Like they put out so much stuff. It's crazy.
Totally. So at the time, that was great. I won't touch on where they are now.
Yeah.
I remember definitely thinking it was very cool playing with those bands. And being on Burger Records at the time. I think I didn't fully appreciate a lot of those groups, like Ty Segall, the OCs. Like I acknowledged that they were good, but I wasn't like, I'm witnessing greatness,
Yeah.
I was just, these are people making music.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that long ago, I feel like that's how I would have been too. Just like, oh, they're sick, but like nothing special until like they're on like Drag City and stuff. You know what I mean? Like they're Drag City lifers.
Totally. And, I've been fortunate to play with some great musicians. I was in a band called Glitz with Dan Rincon, who's been the drummer in the OCs for about 10 years.
Oh, that's crazy.
He basically went directly from Glitz to the OCs.
Yeah.
So good career move on your part, Dan.
Yeah. That's crazy, man. You've definitely played in like some sick stuff in your early music career, I guess.
For sure. Yeah, I've been pretty fortunate in that way.
Do you still keep in touch with like any of those dudes? Like the person you're saying went from Glitz to the OCs and whatnot. Like, do you ever be like, "Yo, throw me on a gig"? I'm just kidding, but
no, I think that would be gauche. But
yeah, for sure.
Dan did come to our show in LA at
cool.
Permanent Records.
Nice.
It was good to see him. I hadn't seen him in a while.
Yeah.
But the OCs, if you're out there listening, book Ari Seraphin. I think Dan told me they were about to tour Mongolia, which
that's crazy.
Never heard of a band touring Mongolia. So,
dude, neither have I. But like, honestly, how sick would it be to be like a huge band like the OCs or something and have like the opportunity to tour a place like that? Because like, touring is like, I know it's like taxing and like there's a lot that goes into it, but you're essentially just traveling and playing music. You know, like how sick would it be to just like travel and play music in like another country or something? You know what I mean?
Definitely. I mean, I haven't traveled that much. I've done fairly minimal actual touring, basically the past 10 years. But that was a big incentive for getting into music. I was like, I'm not that good at this academic stuff.
Yeah.
You know, I don't have a lot going on, so I may as well just try to see how many places I can get to through music.
And what are some of your favorite places that music has taken you?
I did a European tour that was great in probably 2014.
Oh, that's sick.
And I think that was 5 or 6 weeks. We played so many towns in Italy and Spain. But that's a great memory.
That sounds awesome.
You know, I've done a full US tour, which.
Have you done all 50 states or
I have not done all 50 states. No,
the continental 48.
I would say in the 30s.
Oh,
that's sick. Right. That's sick. What was your favorite state that you played in that you expected not to be sick?
I remember enjoying Boise, Idaho, which
hell yeah,
now is home of Tree Fort Festival. But back when I played there in 2009, it was not happening.
Yeah.
Did you play the Pilot Light in Knoxville or like the Empty Bottle in Chicago? I'm trying to think of a couple of the sort of lifer.
We maybe played the Empty Bottle in Chicago. That's hard for me to recall at the moment. We played with that band White Mystery.
Oh, sick.
I gotta look this up.
And I'm trying to think where else was sick. I can say definitively that Las Vegas was not sick.
I feel like all my friends that have played in Las Vegas have never had a good like DIY show there.
I won't speak to Nevada as a whole. I've had good shows in Reno. Las Vegas, not that tight.
Yeah, Vegas.
That said, if the OCs want to book me in Las Vegas at a casino, I'm there.
Drop your booking email real quick, just in case.
Also, just, I don't know, with this question or this thing, it just made me think about how I've gone out to Gonerfest. And again, this is music that needs to be at Gonerfest. And the OCs have played Gonerfest, but Ari Seraphin, Gonerfest, if you're listening, please book Mr. Seraphin for this. And that'd
be sick.
Also reminding me, for those international Australian or UK acts, that's like the one time an American festival's being like, we see and recognize your music. Let's get you a visa and get out here. And then they do a tour of the South or like go up to Chicago. And that's crazy for those bands because that's the only time they ever play internationally. And I think about that for a lot of American acts, how those opportunities never quite present themselves. Sometimes they do. Sometimes you can see them, but never in that same way of like a punk outpost telling you come to us as a beacon.
Totally. I can't think of too many festivals that are like Goner Fest in the States. I think it's sort of one of one.
Yeah.
And it's been going on for a long time. Probably at least since I was a teenager, like 2002 to 2003.
Where does it take place? Where's it at?
It's Memphis, Tennessee.
Okay,
and Goner Records is based there. And they used to rent or host it late at night. And it'd be shows from like 10 to 6 a.m. or something.
Oh, that's insane.
And they do sort of like Friday and Saturday all day with Thursday and Sunday truncated shows. So it's a 4-day festival at the Rail Garden. And I went in 2022 and I loved it. And I would love to go back. It's a matter of just financially and everything not being in a position to do it. And I sacrificed that for big ears because that fits more where I'm at. But Goner Fest gets it intersects with big ears in a weird way, but the punk acts are the strongest. It's so strong for that's where I saw Snooper. That's where
I'm jealous of that.
I saw GT. I saw Negative Approach.
Oh, that's crazy, actually. I didn't realize they still played.
I didn't either. The big one for me was GT because I got to find out about them and get in. But like that, they don't actually pull from a lot of San Francisco garage stuff right now. In fact, I don't know, maybe calling this into a bit of a question is that in the modern day in San Francisco, there's a strong sect of labels right now. We listed off a ton at the start. We had Danny Boy, we got Paisley Shirt, and then there's some other ones that maybe are or aren't. Mt.St.Mtn, Tearjerk Records, Safe Suburban Home. I don't know if those are international. You can correct.
But
sure, I can talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, I feel like
you are right that not very many Bay Area bands make it to Goner Fest, but there are some exceptions. Michael Beach recently put out a few records on Goner.
Oh, that's crazy.
He was based in the Bay Area for a long time. Just to point out a recent example. As far as those labels that you mentioned go, Mt.St.Mtn are based in Sacramento. And they're a great label. They've been around for a while. I think they released the first Mantles record.
The first who? Sorry.
The first Mantles record.
Oh, sick.
I could be mistaken about that though. And I think they're affiliated with Jay Howell, the Bob's Burgers guy.
Oh, dude, that's sick.
I put out my previous 3 releases on Mt.St.Mtn. So they've done good by me. Teardrop Records, I don't think is active. They are based in Australia.
Oh, okay.
Had you been contacted by other international labels, or was Tearjerk the only one? Because I always find that interesting when internationals, anybody, just an outpost that's into this is like, hey, we got to get this out for the locals.
For sure. I mean, Safe Suburban Home is based in the UK.
Okay.
And I've worked fairly closely with them. The owner, Jim, is just a great, enthusiastic fellow. I think he does not have any aspirations as far as making his money back is concerned. So
I mean,
I think
DIY baby,
like,
that's sick.
If he likes something and he hears it, he's like, all right, I'm going to throw a few $100 at this.
That's awesome.
But I think that's increasingly common where labels co-release. So like Slumberland co-releases with a label in Japan, and Australia, and the UK. And so you kind of get this, international community. You also get essentially distribution in all of these different countries. So it's like a smart play. Additionally, you save money on the pressing costs because, it's being split 4 directions.
Yeah, for sure.
you fronting everything.
Mm-hmm.
Was that kind of, at least, because it seems like you had been aware of that role beforehand, but with the music that you had really started coming into over the past 5 years, did you think, hey, this is going to be a feasible plan for my music? That you would be releasing kind of internationally with small other little vinyl regional labels?
Sure. I would say I've never been too self-aware is not the word. I've never been too self-conscious about reaching out to labels about my music. And I think for the most part, my only desire is to get my music heard by the most number of people, like ultimately that's what it's about. Not that I would like to be famous or tour the world or anything like that. But, I think if you have the opportunity to expand your base, then it's cool to do. And it's cool to kind of meet people from different areas and sort of grow your community that way.
I also think it helps too that like the Bay Area scene's kind of just popping off right now. So I feel like a lot of people, and I'm sure like internationally, like kind of like see this like group of bands that are kind of like, I don't know, in the Bay right now playing a lot. Like there's like you, like all like, Tony J, bunch of the bands that like Slumberland is like putting out and stuff too.
Field Magazine and April Magazine.
Yeah, the magazines.
Shout out to the magazines.
And there's like Dandy Boy and stuff, like just holding it down, like DIY, like tape style, like everything he puts out is so sick. Like I always talk about like this comp that he did in like 2020 or something like that, that I thought was just like the sickest comp I had heard in a long time. And it was just like super inspirational. And I was just like, wow, this is like so good. And then, and I've hosted a bunch of like the people from the Bay too. Like last night we just had Fog Lamp. I don't know if you know those dudes.
I don't know them too well. At least I don't think I do. But I don't get out much.
No worries. There's just a lot of cool stuff going on in the Bay, and I'm sure people see that, and I'm sure that helps like, your case and stuff when labels reach out and whatnot, I guess.
For sure. It's funny because I think when you zoom out, a lot of music listeners look to the Bay Area and they're like, oh, this is a community, or, all of these bands just sort of cropped up out of nowhere. But, I would say for the most part, all of those people that you mentioned have been making music for a very long time.
Yeah, for sure.
Mike from Tony J has been in several projects. Glenn Donaldson from the Reds, Pinks, and Purples has been in an ungodly number of bands. So, these are all people that have been in the area for a long time. And it's funny that just now there is this kind of opinion or this view that there's a scene in the Bay.
Even though they've been lifers for like ever. Yeah, I get what you mean. It's like funny how it's like just now people are like noticing it. You know what I mean?
Totally. But I think I probably have benefited from that association a little bit.
Yeah. We're hosting this band called Lunchbox. Do you know who they are?
Cool.
Yeah.
I do.
We're hosting them in like May next month or whatever with Tori.
Sick. Ari Seraphin played a show with Lunchbox, I think in 2022. They're great. I don't know the front people that well, but my buddy Maggie plays drums.
Oh yeah, Maggie is who I've been like coordinating with, I think mostly for that gig. But yeah.
They're very cool. And certainly lifers. I think they've been in a good number of bands prior to Lunchbox. I don't even know how long Lunchbox has been around, but they're definitely cool.
Sick, dude. Well, I don't know, Maddie, what else should we jump into?
Well, I guess we should get to the brass tacks of actually talking briefly about Ray's music. A little bit of the stuff, mainly, I guess, a bit of the influence. Specifically, what pulled you to start releasing stuff under your name, take that rhythm section of the talkies and just go ahead and start putting out stuff under your own name? And then influence-wise, we'll talk a little bit more later. But that first question.
I don't know. I had a lineup of the talkies, or talkies rather. There's no article. I should know that. But when I moved back to the Bay, and we played out for about a year, and then it just sort of lost momentum. And I think I was feeling a little bit disenchanted with the project. And, originally there was more of a collaborative spirit with the first lineup, and then it increasingly just became me. So I basically decided to just kind of take full ownership of my musical endeavors and release music under my own name. I mean, it seems a bit conceited to name a music project after yourself, but I think it's helped me stay honest in some ways.
Something, at least, because I noticed, and this is maybe what I was going to get into, influence-wise, you've always stayed a good step ahead of the competition. And by that, I mean, at least you're really deep in some more esoteric stuff. On your most recent one, I think you give a reference to Giant Sand, and they have several great albums on Thrill Jockey. There's a lot of great country stuff that they've done. In other stuff, you had a covers tape, if I'm getting that correct. Or you had some covers material.
For sure. I always like to sneak in a cover or two with every release. I did contribute to a Television Personalities compilation.
That's
cover
sick.
compilation.
There was mention of that. There was the mention of Wipers. And then I'd seen on another one, Ultra Vivid Scene. And I never see people talk about Ultra Vivid Scene. This last release he did is really great. It's my favorite of the three albums.
That Rev?
That is Rev. Rev is the one.
Ultra Vivid Scene rules. I wish I knew what the singer was up to. I think he became a professor of some kind, but
he might still be doing professor stuff. I've heard it. I know that there's an old YouTube video ages ago about people on a message board talking about him, and he finds the conversation and he comes in and he's like, I'm so amazed that people remember I made these. Also, I only love like Rev is the only album I feel strongly about. And I was interested in him because he was a visual artist. He just shot for AD with that music, and it was great that it developed as it did. I think it really gets stronger as he keeps progressing through the albums. Yeah,
certainly. He kind of it goes from sort of Jesus and Mary Chain worship to
yes,
its own beast through the years. I love that stuff. I don't know how I get into things. I think just the way that most people do. Like, I'm over at a friend's house, they put on a record, it sounds sick, and so I seek
you jam it for the next 3 months.
It's totally. I mean, it's like it's hard for me to draw these lines or try to create a giant thesis there, and I don't think that's the case. But I'm about a decade or 15 years younger than you, and I've sought or chased after those albums to degrees where I realized no one around me is after these. No one is. And then going to your albums and getting bits of those touchdowns, or hearing, I think, just really solid jangle in general. What is it about jangle as well where that has become like to you kind of like the definitive singer-songwriter style, or something that just brings out an energy in you to write with?
Sure. I will say that I don't consciously write in a style.
Apologies to
No, I don't mean that to sound pretentious, but I've never kind of sat down and said I'm going to write a jangle song. I just kind of like gravitate towards the sounds that I do. But I don't know what it is about the format. I would say like there's just a level of sincerity and sort of honesty in a lot of jangle pop records, if you want to call them that. You know, I think there also is sort of this arch element with, you know, the C86 scene as well. But in terms of like American college rock, a lot of those like Southern bands like Let's Active, the DBs,
another great one.
They're very sincere and earnest, and that appeals to me. Even though I would say my own music isn't entirely sincere or autobiographical.
But it can still tap, because again, when I think about the DBs, I really think about that first album and how the songs are very, I mean, there's a third star indebtedness, or not third star, a big star, third being the album. There's an indebtedness to that, but there are incredibly punch drunk, sappy pieces that are all about girls, are all about love. Or you have stuff like Cycles Per Second, which are just incredible little gems. Super, super crazy all over the place, but they are sincere. Same with Let's Active. I've got that first EP for IRS, and that's a killer release.
Totally. You know, and I think that also speaks to their image at the time. Like if you look at photos of those bands, they aren't, they don't have a loud presence, you know, they just sort of look like, you know, regular people in the 80s. You know, their hair might be a little bit big, but, you know, there's nothing too showy about those groups. And I think that has always appealed to me as well.
Did you, or I guess, no, you're talking about kind of that lack of a loud presence, and I get that. I respect that. In 2020, Captured Tracks had put out the Strum and Thrum comp. I'm assuming maybe you heard this.
I have, yeah.
It's really great. That's another thing that to me was like coming off of your 2020 release and getting into this. And there's still some stuff I've been being like 25 Day are awesome. Salem 66, Bang Tales.
Totally. There's definitely some great bands on that comp. One of my favorites is the Windbreakers. Who are another Southern band, but 28 Days, or 28th Day rather, Barbara Manning's band, they rock as well. The Strand, another great one.
Not on there, but also a shout out Game Theory.
Oh yeah.
Can't go wrong.
Big Game Theory head.
I need Lolita Nation. I've been killing myself to have it, but I'm super glad that I found the Big Shot. It kills me that he never got bigger, that those songs are just there. That's what I love about so much of this music, is that you really just hear great stuff in there. Beautiful nuggets.
Totally. Sacramento Legends.
Totally.
Their records are sort of still hard to find. There was a reissue campaign, I think, a few years ago.
Oh, really? That's sick.
But
did anything come of it?
I don't see the reissues either.
I haven't. I'm trying to think, because I think there might be a Pitchfork review on one of them or something ages ago, but I'd never seen any talk about Game Theory until I started searching out. And like even Salem 66, another act that should really have a seat at the table or should be talked about a little more, is like, hey, this existed in the 80s and people did this. they've yet to get a reissue campaign. And those albums have only gotten harder to find over the last 3 years. I'm kicking myself for not buying the tapes when I've had chances to.
See, that's where you come in.
That's where I'm here now.
Start your own reissue label.
There we go.
Yeah, true.
Cassette only.
Cassette only for sure. That's what Maddie would do.
Only bootlegs of the ones I want back in print.
Love it. What else you got?
Yeah. Where should we go into next, Maddie? On our little sheet.
A tad bit more, I guess, kind of tiptoeing around, talking about these albums. In the brief PR that you've given, you talk about just being open to really making your backing tracks on iPhone or just sharing stuff. I'm not assuming just always via airdrop, but you're emailing people or sending them stuff. But recording wise, for the albums that you've made in the 2020s, is there any gear that you've thrifted or that you found yourself kind of, an increase in a development wise? Are you still doing the same kind of stuff that you say you'd be doing 5 to 6 years ago when you're setting about recording a track or kind of creating an idea, noodling about?
I would say that my working method was largely the same 5 or 6 years ago, but I would say that as technology has developed, it has become easier to create decent sounding recordings, basically anywhere using any sort of DAW or device. So I would 2 of my releases I recorded almost entirely on my phone with the built-in microphone on my phone.
That is crazy.
So both A Room Forever and Swing Shift were recorded that way. And then
that is sick.
Basically, once I sort of did the drum programming and recorded my parts, so vocals, guitar, etc., I would sort of send it out to my friends and collaborators, and they would add their own touches. Doing that during the pandemic, especially the first year, was really rewarding and fun. Definitely enjoyed it. And then kind of as things resumed, I wanted to start playing shows again. So I got a band together, and it was sounding really good. So we decided to record an album. And, at the time, the birth of my kid was imminent. So there was like a real sense of urgency there. I was like, we have to document this.
Yeah.
And I'm happy we did.
That's sick. And so you're saying that one that you just recorded was the one that you just released too? That's the one that you recorded right before your kid was born?
Yeah, Postmate. I've actually had it ready to go since early 2023.
Oh, really?
And we just sort of sat on it for a while because I was not playing music. I was like, there's no point in putting something out if I can't play shows behind it.
Yeah.
So now it's out, but it does feel sort of like an artifact at this point. I'm like, it feels like a project that I did so long ago.
I know you're in the midst of like promo and stuff for this new one, but do you have like new stuff you're working on yet?
Bits and pieces. I kind of am always recording fragments of songs, but I have yet to put together a full set of songs. Hopefully that's in the cards. I've been talking to Mike Ramos of Tony J about doing an album together. So,
oh, dude, that'd be super sick.
I hope that happens soon.
I hope that happens too. That would be awesome, and would be looking forward to hearing that. All right, Maddie, does that kind of do it for our questions? Do you have anything else you want to add on to?
I mean, at this point, I assume that would really kind of bring us to the end. Just music wise, what's thrilling you the most right now? What has, if anything, has shifted for you taste wise over, I don't know, the 2020s that even outside of just jangly stuff or just kind of indie, you've been pushing yourself towards?
What have I been listening to lately? Basically,
I guess.
What
Yeah.
thrills,
Cool.
and yeah, what thrills you of that the most?
My bandmate turned me on to Edith Frost, who released I want to say 4 or 5 records on Track City.
Oh, sick.
Oh,
in
okay.
the 90s and early 2000s.
Huh.
So I've been digging her stuff quite a bit.
Oh, interesting. I've never heard of
especially
Edith
this
Frost.
album Wonder Wonder, which came out in 2001. And then
I'm gonna save
as far
that.
as more contemporary music is concerned, I love the Mary Timony record that came out
Oh, fantastic.
a few months ago. The Rosalie album, Bite Down.
I've got that on hold at the library. I asked them to purchase it, and they're going to be getting it for us. So I'm very
Sick.
thrilled to hear it. And she had a great show at Gonerfest 2022, and I saw her as part of Long Haunts. So
Oh, that's awesome.
I believe it. I have yet to catch her live, but I think she played with Mary Timony in San Francisco a few weeks ago, and I had a conflict.
You missed it, yeah.
So
I'm excited for Edith Frost, though. I know I have seen the cover of Calling before. I've been meaning to get to this, so this is a really good recommendation.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Wonder if I can.
Awesome. I'm excited that you're excited. Another band that I listen to quite a bit is Idle Ray, which is this songwriter Fred Thomas, who I think is based in Michigan.
Oh, it's Fred. Wait a second. I think I know. Is that the Saturdays Look Good to You? Saturdays Look Good to Me, gentlemen. Yep.
Totally. He was also in His Name Is Alive.
The universe. Oh, I forgot that he was in. That was probably my favorite 4AD project.
Wait, which one? Which project?
Stars on ESP. He's not on that one, though, I know. His Name Is Alive.
I don't think so, but I'm not sure. I'm not an expert. I do like Idle Ray, though.
Sick.
The label that put out one of the Idle Ray records, Tall Texan, I think they're peripherally sort of in the Bay Area music scene, but they've put out a ton of other great stuff. So I recommend them if you need yet another label to check out.
Tight. All right. Well, I guess that kind of brings us towards the end here. I guess where can people keep up with all things Ari Seraphin?
Well, where can't they? I have Instagram. I have Twitter, aka X.
Oh yeah, Elon's Twitter.
So
yeah,
dumb to say.
No, it's just Twitter. You don't have to worry.
I have a website, ariseraphin.com.
Oh, sick.
Very pro.
Yeah, that's legit, man.
Yeah, so we have a couple local shows coming up, and then hopefully Pacific Northwest tour later in the year.
Oh, sick.
Ooh.
Who knows? Maybe we'll venture down to Ventura again.
Let me know, dude. I will give you guys a gig whenever.
Okay, great.
All right, dude. Well, anybody listening, be sure to listen to Ray's new album. Be sure to follow Ray on social media and catch him possibly in Ventura and Pacific Northwest. And hopefully you're listening because you've already seen Ray, which would be tight. But if this is new music to you, be sure to check out Ray because his music is sick and he's a DIY lifer and we love DIY lifers. And anyways, we have one more question for you, Ray. It's kind of the biggest of the show. Maddie, do you want to take it or do you want me to take it? You want me to take
Thomas,
it?
you got it tonight. Killing it here. You're on a roll.
All right. All right, Ray. So sorry about that. Had to clear my throat. So Ray, a rat is going to jump into your mouth. Do you want this rat to jump into your mouth head first or butt first, and why?
Did you ask me this question the last time we did this?
Probably.
Yes.
What did I say then?
I forget what you said. So you gotta come up with a new answer.
I think previously I would say head first, and now that I've matured, I would probably say bottom first.
Ooh.
Because I don't want a rat to bite my tongue or sever my tongue or do anything to my tongue particularly.
Fair, dude. That's fair.
It seems like that would put you in a better position to take the rat out of your mouth.
And it's probably gonna be trying to get out too. You know what I mean? So it's just gonna be like.
And if you've had coffee in the United States, you probably had rat fecal matter at some point.
I love that. I love rat fecal matter.
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, I was saying I accept it. No,
good. I'm glad you.
Good thing I don't drink coffee anymore, though. So I guess some would say I'm missing out on the rat fecal matter, but anyways. All right. Well, that's all we have for today. Thanks for tuning into TBD on KCSB FM 91.9 every Sunday, 4 to 6 p.m. on kcsb.org to the rest of the world. This has been Ari Seraphin. Thanks so much, Ray.
Thank you. See you next time. Can't wait to talk about rats again.